My mouth is dry from holding open too long. I'm more than hooked. Good. I'm glad. Yay! Yay! It's hook worthy. Okay. I'll read this. Oh, you want the book? I like it and want to know more. How about I give you the second chapter, guys? How about I give you the second chapter? We'll see how you guys like it going into the second chapter. All right. Chapter 2. I know, like, it's like, oh my gosh, she's feeding us more stuff. Chapter 2. Control. Let's go with chapter 2. It had been 2 weeks since I met Liam. I was able to recover quickly due to just suffering a head and neck injury, and was released within days. I then spent my time listening to interviews, feeding the internal curiosity I had for the businessman. Will you do an art stream drawing each character looks like? I am a shitty artist, so I do not know. I do not know. When you finish and publish the book, are you also going to do voiceover for it? Yes, I'm going to do the audiobook for it. I'm going to read this. Whether or not I add actors as characters is up in the air. But yeah. Was this healthy? I mean, I wasn't stalking him around, just learning about him beyond just being my mother's boss. I was justified, right? I decided against arguing with myself. The internal struggles I had never really worked out well and just made me want to snack on junk food and comfort at the end every time. I slowly worked through recovery with Liam factoids circulating in my mind. Even working through my curry assignment was a trip with spice and trivia colliding in my head. Make sure to combine these spices for the roux. Liam was 6 foot 2 inches in height. After cooking the chicken, add the carrots and potatoes. Liam was listed in the top 10 young and successful entrepreneurs in the country. Wash your rice and measure 1-to-1 water to rice before cooking it. There were rumors about Liam being single, but nothing was confirmed. It was a natural, yet slightly concerning mixture of thoughts that seemed to sit together without much chaos. Another reason to justify how sane I was in researching Liam. After all, he apparently owed me some sort of unlimited wish. I didn't want to nab it from someone sketchy or unreliable in truth. Best to know as many details as possible. The only thing to break me from my constant train of patterned thoughts were my online friends and colleagues. Word of my hospital visit... I was about to burp. Excuse me. Word of my hospital visit spread quickly because of my delay in posts and my public disclosure to my followers. I was more than grateful to know the world was sympathetic to anyone suffering from an accident. Part of me wanted to disclose my encounter with Liam, but I knew better than to entice his fanbase to my world, where food should have been my focus, not the men. It feels like Maya's indulging her entire life past present to the viewer, presents perception of her having personal conversation with the interview, which works well if you want a story in first person. However, it's not work well for third person. Yeah. Naturally, there are restrictions. Yeah. No, yeah. Like, I definitely want to keep this in first person, 100%. A simple ping broke me from my routine mental vegetation. The blip emitted from my chat program, ushering me to open it both to see who was contacting me and to remove the annoying visual notification from my taskbar. To my surprise, however, the message was from a close friend I knew since high school, still living in my area and willing to consider me their friend in return. Maya! It's been forever! You available to chat right now? Somewhat. Well, what's up? Okay, so I really, really want to know what kind of person you like. Danny. I'm being totally serious here. I got some tickets to this art gallery on Saturday, and I wanted to bring you with on a potential date. I'm really not interested in dating anyone right now. Still recovering, you know. I get that, but isn't mental recovery just as important? You can't just stay cooped up forever, Rapunzel. I know. How about I go, but no date? Ugh! Alright. No matchmaker, pinky promise. I was truly grateful that my closer to home friends still wanted to interact with me. Despite having an overprotective father, I still went to school and made friends. Many of them branched off into their own paths, but a few stuck around and kept in touch with me. It was a breath of fresh air to remain connected to the environment around me. An exchange of information, and I was set for an art gallery exhibition later in the week. I was never one to dress up formally to impress anyone. A simple pair of slacks and a dress shirt was enough for me. Sometimes I even threw in a scarf or a headband to be less bland, but that was only if I felt like it at the time. Simple was never out of style, and sometimes made more of an impression than fancy garments and attire. I sat in my chair and soaked in what had occurred. Maybe a break from the routine I had set for myself was what was needed. This was a step outside of my house that most likely wouldn't end up with me in the hospital. What was the likelihood of being in a car accident twice? Probably less than 5%. Maybe. Besides, this would be a way for me to not constantly think about Liam. I knew my digging was becoming more fangirlish, and it was a little embarrassing to think about. I wasn't interested in being with him, I just wanted to know more. A powerful man had offered me a very ambiguous wish, anything I desired. He could have simply kept it at paying my medical expenses. Why the wish? I sighed and rubbed my face, digging the pads of my fingers into my cheeks and pressure points to relax further into my seat. This was ridiculous. It truly was. This man was charming, and I had fallen into the honey trap of him. Enough was enough. Art gallery. Right. The rest of the week was me perfecting my career review and doing side research into the art gallery I was going to. Into the art gallery I was going to. It was a simple gallery with pictures from multiple artists hoping to get further in the art world. While it was not my area of expertise, I still appreciated the work and dedication of anyone pounding pavement for their craft. Some of the photos sampling the gallery's wares made me purse my lips with an impressed surprise. Too bad many of them would have 4-digit prices. Of course, I wasn't going to go without a typical concerned conversation with my parents. "Are you sure, Maya? It's only been a couple of weeks since you left the hospital. Maybe you should rest more," my father mumbled, chowing down on leftover curry I had made the day before. I shook my head with a reassuring smile. "I'll be okay. Danny is going to drive, and she is an excellent driver," I explained, knowing that I had to make triple sure that my parents were satiated before I could go anywhere. After all, they had taken it upon themselves to obtain and seal away my car keys. It wasn't like I was going to go anywhere without them stepping in anyway. Still, I wasn't some broken doll. I wasn't incapable of doing anything I wanted to do on my own. A groan escaped my father's lips as he lowered his head. My mother pressed her finger to her temple and rubbed circles into it. "We're just concerned for you, sweetie, that's all." "Are you absolutely sure?" my mother pressed. I persisted in return. "I'm sure. It's just an art gallery show." The ride itself was careful, as Danny knew not to test the limits of speed with me in the passenger seat. It was another precaution, and I understood why. At least I wasn't being denied an experience for my injuries. "Your head okay after the accident? Sorry if I'm prying, but Mama had you in her prayers. You gotta ease her mind, you know?" Danny asked, making me chuckle softly. Her mother, the gem that she was, became like a second mother to me when I was out of the confines of my home. She snuck snacks to me and treated me like one of her own. It was quite a blessing, as I also knew the woman had a fear of God in her heart, and contained the rage of several demons within her fist, saved only for those who threatened her family. "Tell her I'm okay. It was just a bump on the head," I replied, taking the situation lightly. Danny laughed and shook her head. "What? A bump on the head landed you in the hospital. Nuh-uh, I'm not dumb. Mama's not gonna accept that." Danny preached. "That woman knows too damn well how careful you are, and so she knows only the devil himself could have done something to put you there." "I'm serious. I'm okay, I promise. In fact, tell her God saved me if that helps ease her mind," I defended, trying to move away from the subject by bending to her mother's need for a religious explanation. Danny shook her head with a wry smile of her own. I knew she was worried about me too, but she wanted me to be out and about, and not trapped in a bed. Not that I was to begin with. "Yeah, God gotcha," Danny muttered, refocusing on the road. "What do you want to hear, Danny?" "The whole story! Girl, like, I may not be like you, all introverted and crap, but that doesn't mean I don't care about you. I read your blog and stuff. I guess I just didn't expect to learn that you went to the hospital on your blog." "Oh, right. I'm sorry. I guess my job really set me in the mind of putting my audience first, friends later." "That means you need a damn break. When was the last time you went on vacation? A staycation?" Uh-huh, exactly. This accident was God saying you need to stop and step away from the blog." "Oh, now you believe in God?" "Never said that, but I ain't gonna question obvious signs. If you don't pay attention, life will knock you flat on your ass. Or land you in the hospital." Danny wheezed back a laugh. "God damn it, Maya!" We both finally laughed together. Danny was a dear friend of mine. I was perhaps the luckiest woman of all to still be her friend, as she didn't keep people close for long. She was a rising star of her own, grinding pavement to excel in the business world. Her skill required a lot of social grace, and that was natural for her. I wasn't totally sure what she saw in me, but I valued that she cared in her own way. It kind of made me internally cringe at the fact I was introverted enough to be forgotten often by people I knew, yet she still accepted me and tried to remain close. I relaxed into the car seat and stared out the window as Danny settled into the drive. The lights of the city always managed to entrance me, despite me never really going to the city at all. It was fast for me, the drum of energy that zipped between the buildings like a lightning bolt. Everyone was expected to be quick, unrelenting in getting from point A to point B and back if their lives demanded it. Though I was told sometimes it was the smell of the city's trash and unfortunate homeless that made people walk as fast as they did. A combination of both disgust and determination seemed to be the right mix. My peace was broken by Danny's voice, her own teasing tone escaping into the air between us. So, I gave my extra tickets away to a couple of friends, and they may show up. Don't be afraid to talk to them, alright? Oh no, I knew what that meant. Danny! Look, I said no matchmaking, so no matchmaking. But goddamn, don't be a prude. But goddamn, don't be a damn prude if one of them makes you lick your lips, alright? Enjoy yourself. I sighed. That was not the plan. My enjoyment was going to be in the air conditioning and art in a city gallery, not in some guests who probably didn't really need to know me. Besides, what was I even going to talk about? Hello, I'm Maya, and I just got out of a car crash while trying to buy stuff for Curry. Yep, that was bound to go well. And that's chapter 2. Because the next chapter is the art gallery. You like the friendship? I'm glad, I'm really glad. Good. Kool-Aid Jammer! The parents are yikes. That's a lot of parents. That's a lot of parents I know, unfortunately. You really like this? Good. Parents are a red flag. Valid. That's valid. Let's see. Oh my god! Ah! Andrea Johnson, thank you so much. Oh my god! Oh my god! What? Hey, what? Andrea, thank you so much for the 200 donation. Oh my god. You love it? Please continue. Oh, I mean, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the $200 tip. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay. Oh my god. My brain. Okay. If you want me to continue, I'll go into chapter 3. I'll go. You know what? That makes that. Yeah, I'll go into chapter 3 for y'all. I'll go into chapter 3. Absolutely, because this is helping me refresh my memory on like everyone's character and all that stuff. My brain stopped working. So chapter 3. You guys get chapter 3. There you go. So let's see. I'm also making sure I read everyone's comments. I'm so sorry. That was like holy crap. I love how the story keeps me hooked. I like the dialogue, which really plays characters' personalities very good. I'm really glad about it. Yay! Oh my gosh. So like, oh my gosh. Okay, so all right. Chapter 3. There you go. We'll do chapter 3. I think you guys might like chapter 3, maybe, possibly. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But thank you so much for the donation. Okay. Chapter 3. All right. Chapter 3. Appreciation. I didn't expect anything from the art gallery other than a slew of art pieces and high price tags. That is exactly what I got. Oh my gosh. Night with a $50. Stop it! Stop, guys, stop! $50 donation, chapter 3. Let's go! Thank you. Oh my god. Thank you so much. We're in America. This is like Chicago. This takes place in Chicago. Place I know and love, dear to my heart. So yeah, Chicago is where this city is. But I mean, it could be literally any city you want. You can replace the name and you'll pretty much recognize it from any city. Thank you, Night. Okay. I didn't expect anything from the art gallery other than a slew of art pieces and high price tags. That is exactly what I got. A simple maze of a gallery, with every wall and panel covered in art pieces ready to be bought and taken home. Walking through the front door, I was impressed by the crowd. You could walk around without bumping into anyone if you were walking side by side with a friend. There were many potential buyers and art critics looking around in either interest or boredom. You could practically hear the judgment that ran through each brain as you walked by. Not every piece was going to appease everyone. It was the same in my world. Not everyone liked reviews of food. I could only hope that artists themselves had the confidence to stand tall with their pieces despite the words of critics. Despite my despite my own perception, I felt a little out of place standing at the edge of the crowd. The slacks and dress shirt seemed to be the bare minimum, as everyone else had taken the art gallery show as an excuse to show off their jazz bar and club attire. Part of me was thankful for wearing my mini sun hat, or else would have been confused for some gallery staff. Though the mini hat did give me a slightly coven vibe that I was grooving with, easing my nerves a bit more. My internal vibe was interrupted by someone calling out Danny's name, causing me to look over and spot the source. Two gentlemen, suited up with smiles on their faces, walked over to us with glasses in their hands. The blonde gave his extra drink to Danny, while the redhead offered me his extra glass. Alex, Ty, God, you both clean up good! Barely recognized you two! Danny gushed, taking her drink and sipping from it. Out of politeness, I took the extra drink and nodded in acknowledgement. The men chuckled and nudged each other before looking at me. And who is this? The blonde inquired. Danny opened her mouth to speak, but I decided to take the reins this time. Maya, food reviewer and blogger. I introduced myself, keeping it simple and stupid. I knew food reviews weren't incredibly interesting, so I only hoped they would become disinterested. The redhead pursed his lips, impressed at my words, while the blonde looked at Danny in surprise. That's pretty impressive. Many works we might recognize? The redhead asked, taking a sip of his drink. I shrugged. That depends. My market is pretty niche, with independent fans, and it's not like a branded review chain. It's just me talking about food. I kept myself at a low bar, despite speaking pretty much the truth of my job. Danny knew how I played my games, and laughed. It's okay. She's a really good friend of mine, but keep your paws off her. She's like a sister to me, and I do not want to have to kick both of your asses for making her feel uncomfortable. Got it? Danny instructed, wrapping her free arm around my waist and walking me forward into the gallery. I followed, mostly not to fall forward, but was glad that she wasn't going to force me to interact with him. The gentleman laughed in reply and followed behind us to join our exploration. Work friends? I whispered, leaning over to keep my volume low. Danny nodded and gave my waist a small squeeze before releasing me and simply walking beside me. Alex and Ty work in my department. Alex handles tech support, and Ty is our main runner. Danny acknowledged. Runner? Coffee boy. But he's got a good head on his shoulders, so he won't be stuck getting my coffee forever. Danny joked, looking over her shoulder at the redhead and causing him to blush. If I didn't know any better, she was the one both of the men wanted, as the blonde Alex also chuckled and kept his eyes on Danny's lower half. We approached a panel covered in paintings of beautiful people and scenery. There were mountain cliffs, rivers, and still forms of hikers and campers decorating each canvas on the wall. Each had his own voice, but none of them conflicted with one another. It was a perfect harmony set on the wall, almost harmonic enough to justify buying all of the pieces at once. That was probably the idea. Danny let out a small breath in awe. You know, I could never be as good of an artist as these people. How do they come up with this? She muttered, staring up at the paintings. I mean, they do have schools for art, you know. Takes years to do this. Alex added, stepping up beside Danny to gawk at the paintings as well. I wasn't sure if he was genuinely interested or if he just wanted to be close to Danny, but I didn't let my curiosity linger. My focus was called once again by the paintings down the line. A new theme on another set of panels with more art to explore. I gently separated from Danny and made my way down the line of paintings, letting my eyes take in all of the paints and oils adorning the makeshift walls. I eventually found myself in an emptier part of the gallery, while other pieces enticed and called others to gaze upon them. One wall had few passing eyes glanced at the paintings in almost shy embarrassment. To me, however, the pieces welcomed me to look upon them in a show of my own, despite feeling a little dirty looking at them alone. Adoring the wall were paintings of women, each nude in their own right, but in positions one would imagine in erotica novels. One had a beautiful blonde woman leaning against a bedpost, erotically wrapping one of the bed curtains around her stomach and staring up at the empty black ceiling. Another had a gorgeous black woman sitting on a balcony, the night sky bright behind her, like a queen presenting her nude body to the world. Not many other paintings in the gallery had nude bodies, but these had the same scribbled signature and theme. These all somehow represented feminine beauty, and despite the disinterest of the general crowd, I felt myself appreciate the attempt. Got a favorite? A voice asked beside me, snapping me out of my thoughts. Turning my head, I was stunned by an even more brilliant and unbelievable sight standing right next to me. Raise Drive, thank you so much for the $13. I just don't like odd numbers. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. You are way too sweet. Thank you so much. You are too kind. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ah! Sorry, moving on. Mr. Hunter? I barely let out, stunned at the idea of the man who had been on my mind being in the same place as me. Yet there he was, dressed in a simple pair of dress pants and a deep red button-up. His sleeves were rolled up to the elbows, presenting his already toned forearms to me as his hands were sunk deep into his pockets. He seemed so casual in such an event, but my mind was more focused on the coincidence of him even being in the same place as me. This was the second coincidence. How was that possible? I didn't want to see him be another prelude to an accident that sent me to the hospital. Liam turned his head to me and smiled, locking his gaze with mine. He was truly charming, making my heart melt ever so slightly in my chest at the sight of his happy expression. Oh my god, what? Night! Now we keep it on. Why are you guys? Stop, guys! Why? Stop, guys! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! You all are goofy. I love you all. I love every one of you. My god. It's good to see you again, Maya. Have you fully recovered? He asked, turning his body to me for a conversation. While I was more than excited to finally speak more to Liam, I didn't want to be seen as a fangirl or obsessed info miner. Shouldn't my husband with the $5? Guys, you guys are so great. You guys are awesome. I love each and every one of you. Guys, stop it. I don't deserve it. Stop it. I'm just reading. Let's see. Where was I? I took a breath and nodded, giving a smile of my own. I have. Wouldn't be out and about otherwise. I answered, shrugging a bit into my relaxed joke. Liam chuckled, emitting a sound that rang in my head as something I personally found utterly sexy. That's quite fair, Liam remarked, before stepping forward towards the paintings, looking up at them in examination. So, got a favorite? Oh my god. Night with the $3! Thank you so much for the $3. Ah! Thank you so much for the $3. You guys, stop it! So, got a favorite? I stumbled over my words, or lack thereof. While the paintings were oh my god. Guys, $3, it even, thank you guys, it's not, thank you so much for another $3, guys. Stop it! While the paintings were absolutely gorgeous to behold, I didn't have any desire to claim them or have them anywhere in my home. Besides, I wasn't rich enough to obtain any of them, even if I wanted to make a purchase. While these are really beautiful, I'm not quite sure I'd take any of them home. I see. I'm quite ashamed, but that's fair. These pieces really do set a tone, Liam remarked, stepping up to one and running a finger over the frame. I stared, watching him slide the pad of his finger against the crevices of the frame in slow motion, both lost in the surprise of his intimacy with the picture and entranced by a simple gesture. I stood there with a slight shiver up my spine. I'd probably do better selling these on auction. Oh my god, guys! Thank you for the $10 donation! Ah! Stop it! Guys! Stop! Stop it! Stop! My god, stop it! I don't deserve it! Stop! Stop it! Leave it alone! Don't even look at it! I'll make it disappear! I will make it disappear! Stop it! Oh my god. I'd probably do better selling these at an auction. Are these your pieces? I instinctively asked, wanting to break out of my trance and genuinely curious of his close demeanor to the paintings in question. Liam shook his head with a small smile before turning to lock eyes with me once more. I had to stop letting him do that, but would my body listen? No, these are my sisters. She is a brilliant artist, but she can be rather open about her sets, Liam confessed, stepping away. However, I knew all of the models she hired. You did? It was not surprising to learn. These were all absolute goddesses of women, at least according to how the artist painted them. Oh my god, guys, stop! Oh my god, guys, stop! Oh my god, guys, stop! Now we're at 666. Now you guys cannot move. You guys cannot change this. Stop it. This is your chance to stop. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Hail Satan. A charming man like Liam certainly had to have a connection with them, as they were the subjects of his sister's work. Yes, many of them work for me at my company, and when I was helping my sister look for models, they all applied. What about those who don't work for you? I help my sister vet through the contracted models my company hires for marketing. Those picked have been helping with advertising for a while, so I trusted them. That made sense. Liam finally turned back around and walked toward me, stopping at a surprisingly comfortable distance. Sure I can interest you in one? Free of charge. I could only laugh and shake my head no. It's alright. These pieces belong to someone who can appreciate them much more than I can. They truly deserve more than my simple gaze, I commented, looking down at my feet at the realization of my words. These were fragments of time, still images of a moment exposing these women to the world without shame. Would I ever have the courage to do the same? Who knew? What broke the oh my god, guys. Why? Satan can't wait. Why? Stop it. Stop. Stop. Guys. Oh, well, guys. 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 I'm trying very hard to read the book to you. I'm trying very hard. And I'm glad you all like my book. But I do not deserve these donations right now, because right now what I am doing is reading you a book that I've been working on for a while. I appreciate the donations. They're going to be paying my bills. I'm really, really grateful. But do not make it into a war. This is not a war. Do not make it into a war. I am just trying to entertain you all while my brain goes, I need to focus on book. My book focus is so strong right now. What's the goal for? It's just a general goal right now. It's just a general goal. But guys, stop. 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 Alright, moving on. What broke the line of sight to my feet was a hand reaching out for me. I followed the arm back to Liam's gaze of concern. Was he saddened by what I said? I didn't say anything truly self-deprecating, did I? Out of some sort of instinct, I placed my hand on his, not sure of what he would do. My heart almost popped as he slowly lifted my hand to his lips and kissed over my knuckles. No painting or person here is worthy enough to have the pleasure of your gaze, Maya, he whispered. I couldn't tell if he wanted me to hear him, but after his lips left my knuckles, his gaze somehow managed to burn into mine with some sort of passion. His irises dilated, form a thin jade ring around them. An unfamiliar warmth radiated inside of my chest and began to grow up through my neck and into my cheeks. I could tell I was blushing from the heat my face felt. I took a breath, trying to center myself without looking like an utter fool. His words and gaze would have been the death of me. You've got quite a silver tongue, Mr. Hunter. I only half hoped he didn't hear me. I only half hoped he didn't. It shouldn't have been surprising that he did. But I silently gasped as he chuckled once again toward my hand, releasing it from his. Please, call me Liam, he requested. I obliged with a nod, slowly coming down from my internal high back to reality. Still, a small smile stretched across my face. Knowing this man on a first-name basis seemed like a gift on its own. Okay, Liam, I replied, letting his name roll off of my tongue and savoring it for a moment. At that, I barely caught Liam's shoulders shuddering a bit at my calling of his name. Huh. Before I could think further, my name echoed across the air, but it wasn't Liam who spoke it. It was Danny. Maya, where did you run off to? Oh, there you. Danny's words trailed off, the volume of them indicating that she had found me, and walked up to stand beside me before I could turn my head to her. As I did, I took in the sight of her staring with an impressed expression at Liam, and knew immediately that she had turned on her infamous flirtation mode. Oh dear. Oh, hey, Danny, I just wanted to see these paintings. They were pretty well done, don't you think? I spoke aloud, not really knowing if the paintings would distract her of the mood, or if Danny was fully locked in on Liam. The latter seemed true. Before that, Maya, who is your friend? Danny inquired, lowering the pitch of her voice to an obvious bedroom tone. It didn't go unnoticed by Liam, who simply smiled and held out his hand to Danny. Liam Hunter. Liam answered for me, watching as Danny promptly placed her hand in his before lifting it to his lips. Maybe it was my imagination, or maybe my carnal thoughts were so focused on Liam, but I barely caught the difference in how he kissed her knuckles than how he did mine. With me, his kiss seemed deep and loving, as if he was kissing a crown jewel ring that rested against my knuckles. Danny, he was barely laying the skin of his lips against her knuckles. If Liam had not kissed my hand before Danny's, I would have never known the difference of intent he seemed to have for both of us. Some strange part of me felt relief. Danny gave a cute giggle and a smile that would have hooked any lady chaser to her whims. What a pleasure it is to meet you, Mr. Hunter, Danny remarked, a purr melting into her words in obvious approval. How do you know Maya? Wait, what? I felt myself say aloud, surprised that her flirting now involved me. Usually when she went after someone, she focused on making the world around them disappear. Why was I involved now? Liam and Danny turned their gazes to me as the former released the hand of the latter. I actually owe Maya quite a lot. I actually owe Maya quite a bit, Liam stated, taking a step toward me and effectively wrapping his arm around both of my shoulders, placing a soft hand on my upper arm. The warmth of his in my chest and cheeks reignited at his touch, and his touching closeness to me. No. I could only let my gaze lower to the ground in soft embarrassment as Liam softly laughed under his breath. You might even say that she saved me. That's when my brain stopped working. What? I saved him? How? When? What? My mind became lost in a state of confusion that I didn't even notice if Danny's expression has changed. Her voice was the only indicator I had, and even that barely phased me out of my stunned state of mind. Well, how about that? She never told me anything of the sort, and she and I have been friends for a long time, Danny remarked with a soft chuckle. I couldn't tell if it was genuine towards me, out of mild anger for the lack of knowledge on her end, or if it was out of insult for not being the one praised by him. My thoughts were on the fact that he paid off my medical expenses. How was paying for debt saving his life? Regardless, I owe her quite a lot. She just has to say the word and anything she wants is hers, Liam continued. His voice felt louder, as if he leaned into my ear to emphasize his words. Was it to remind me of my seemingly unlimited wish? What was the goal? Was he flirting with me in front of Danny? Maya! Danny's voice finally broke through my mental obstacle, causing me to look up at her. I expected to see a look of mild jealousy from my friend. But instead, I saw her smiling kindly at me. It took me back a bit, as I was pretty sure I was in the way of her getting more out of her interactions with Liam. I was incorrect. Yeah? I finally replied back, curious as to why I was taken out of my introverted demeanor. Danny laughed and walked over to me before tapping my nose with her finger. Maya's a good woman. You'd best give her exactly what she wants, Mr. Hunter, or you'll have an entire food blog community plus some wanting to make a recipe out of you. Danny playfully warned, a sly smirk growing across her lips with a gaze at Liam, whose face was indeed very close to my ear. Whatever red color was on my cheeks only intensified at Danny's protective statement. Indeed. I will take your statement to heart, miss, Liam said as he finally released my shoulders and held out his hand to Danny once again. this time positioning in a way to shake her hand rather than kiss it. Danny reached out and accepted his hand, giving it a small up and down of acceptance. Daniela Carter, marketing specialist for Anderson Toys. Perhaps we could come to you about increasing the reach of our audience with new tech. Danny formally introduced herself. She then immediately went immediately from wanting to bag Liam to forging a potential business relationship. It was definitely a first I had seen from her. Her intention was sealed as she released Liam's hand and reached into her clutch, taking out a business card and passing it to him. Our CEO would appreciate a conversation. Liam took the card and nodded with a polite smile, sliding it into his pocket. I'd be happy to assist in any way I can, Miss Carter. I smiled. I was glad to see that Danny and Liam were going to get along. Yet I felt a little happier that Danny didn't seem unhappy about giving up a hot target like Liam. Wait, did I just think of him as a hot target? I quickly shook my head and rubbed my face to break this dumb line of thought. I needed to step back into reality. As I shook my head, Danny gave me a wink and walked over to wrap her arm around mine, softly pulling me away from Liam. I almost instinctively pulled back, but felt my brain ease my reactions down to merely a fleeting thought. I had to admit, there was an attraction I had to Liam, but now was not the time to allow myself to fawn over him. Oh, Rain, thank you so much for the 100 bits. You are way too sweet. Thank you so much. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have a whole section of the gallery waiting for us to observe and view. I'm sure you understand, Danny said coyly. I opened my mouth to interject, wanting to spend more time with Liam. But as I turned to speak, a man dressed in a full suit stepped up to Liam and whispered something to him. Liam's expression went from friendly to almost stone cold as the man delivered his message. What was going on? What was wrong? Liam cleared his throat and smiled at us. I understand completely. Please, don't let me keep you. Liam replied before stepping to me and taking my hand. He quickly lifted it and gave it another kiss over my knuckles, locking eyes with me to ensure he had my full attention. As he released it, he took another step to me and leaned in to whisper into my ear. I mean it. Anything you want is yours, Maya. With that ringing in my head, Liam stepped back, smiled at me, nodded to Danny, and left with a mysterious man. I watched him leave, both stunned by his words and curious as to why he also had to leave. He was interested in me. It took me a bit to realize that, but I wasn't dim enough to ignore such signs. In the heat of the conversation and the instinctual emotions running high, I was indeed foggy to the subtext. But standing there, I was able to steady my thoughts and piece together the full picture. What needed his attention away from me? Maya! Hello? Danny's voice echoed in my ear, causing me to turn to her. She tightened her arm around me and wiggled her eyebrows, a Cheshire cat-like smirk across her lips. So when did you plan on telling me about him? About Liam? No, the Pope. Yes! How do you know him? I grimaced, not wanting to paint the picture of him being involved with my hospital visit. Still, she deserved to know. As we toured the rest of the art gallery, I painted her the story of how I stopped a thief from stealing his car. My heroism landed me in the hospital, with no worries of paying expenses and an unlimited wish. Danny hung on my every word, clearly fascinated at the turn of events that led to me meeting Liam. Still, as I retold the memory, a part of me could only whisper doubt. Why would Liam be interested in me? We met once before crossing paths again in the gallery. William, thank you so much for the 1,000 bits. You are way too sweet. Thank you so much. I wasn't any high figure in business or society. I was a food blogger who lived with her parents and barely went outside at all of her own choice. I wasn't an ugly woman, but I was not going to be scouted for my looks. I was clearly average, at least to my own judgment of beauty and interest. So why on earth would Liam Hunter show interest? Oh my god. And that's chapter 3. That's chapter 3, guys. What do you think? Chapter 3 was full of a bit war and a dono war. But like, oh my god. You all are nuts. You all are nuts. But what do you all think? Very cool. Who is Danny? Her friend. It's Maya's friend. Danny's Maya's friend. There's nothing more to it. She's Maya's friend. She works in marketing. She works in marketing for Anderson Toys. I don't know what else to tell you. What is the name of the book and how did you come up with the story? I've had my thoughts on the story for a long while. I just never really put it into words until I decided, you know what, fuck it, let's just do it. The current project title of the book is called Obedience. It is meant to be a quote unquote dark romance erotica. But yeah, and it is as always certainly not a reference at all. Nope, I don't know what y'all talk about. I don't know what y'all talking about. You knew what I don't know what you're talking about. Danny is a nice lady who is a friend of Maya's who works in the marketing department at Anderson Toys. I don't know what y'all are up in arms about. I don't know what y'all are up in arms about.